We talk a lot about what immigrants leave behind in material terms: their home, community, language, familiar food, and the sound of a city they grew up in. But there is something else that gets left behind that is much harder to name. I'd like to call it your identity infrastructure. And what do I mean by that? These are the invisible systems that told you who you were without you ever having to ask. Your social position, your reputation, the way people in your community knew your name, your family's name, and what that meant. Your professional title, which in many cultures carries not just status, but also meaning. Your fluency, not just in language, but also in culture. Knowing how to read a room, knowing how to speak, and when stay quiet, and also knowing the unwritten rules. When you immigrate, much of that disappears almost overnight. And researchers who study this have a name for what happens next, and that is identity disruption. Studies consistently show that losing your social roles and cultural footing is one of the hardest parts of immigration, often harder than the practical stuff, harder than the language barrier, the paperwork. Because here's what most of us don't realize until it happens: we don't know how much of our sense of self was borrowed from our surroundings until those surroundings are gone. You arrive somewhere new. Nobody knows your story. Nobody knows where you came from, what have you built, who you were. You are, in the most profound sense, starting from zero.